All right, and good evening, everybody. We are here to continue the second round of the final Fantasy Randomizer Tournament. Tonight's match is going to be part of the 0 and 1 bracket of the Swiss. On the left side there, we have jkoper getting set up, and on the right, we have Black Knight. I'll be doing commentary, and Demarin, and I am with...
I'm Silverfire, and I'll be the co-commentator here.
Right. So, right now jkoper is getting set up at this point. So we're just about getting ready. They're just setting up their party. So it'll be just a moment before we get rolling. So Silverfire, what do you know about these runners?
Well, jkoper's a huge randomizer player of many different randomizers, and I would definitely say he's the favorite here. Black Knight is newer. This hasn't done a whole lot of SRL racing, but we don't really know how much practice behind the scenes has been done. So this could be a bit of a dark horse situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anything can happen. We've seen a lot of new runners perform very well to get started here. In the first round, jkoper faced off against Salty Fry, and that was their first loss of the tournament. On the flip side of the coin, Black Knight ran into Tilo, who posted a very solid run, and so that is where they stand right now. And just as we get set up, we're seeing a pair of very non-standard party layouts here.
No kidding. Black Knight has they've both chosen to run black belts, and then we also see a thief from jkoper.
Yeah, this is way outside of what we've seen.
Yeah, the meta has been usually if the random character lets you to go with the fighter and then 3 mages, or sometimes double fighter and 2 mages. We haven't seen anyone deliberately choose a thief. And the red-black black belt fighter is an interesting lineup as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a little bit of double red mage in the tournament so far to varying success, but I don't think anybody's gone out of their way to pick a black belt. So that's very interesting, and we are about to get going. So, let's cheer these guys on. Let's see a good race.
Looks like jkoper is looking at IRC for a moment, and it's covering up their emulator.
And of course, as we get started, just to thank, we have Zangief on the tracking and Det Tie-Dye Guy on restreaming, of course, so we always want to thank the crew for getting us off and rolling, and here we are.
Ice 2, there's a good one, and also Brack is a fairly solid spell. They also have a good amount of starting gold here, which sometimes the starting gold gets a little randomized, so sometimes you don't have very much to work with, but here they have enough to pick up the Ice 2, and maybe some other stuff if they want it.
All right, well, we've got 56 gold cabins here, which is going to bode well when they have to start running out of Corneria later. Harm 4 at level 1 is 13 gold. Undead are not going to stand much of a chance.
Yeah, we see jkoper's picking up a bunch of cabins at the start. Meanwhile, Black Knight is choosing to pick up chain vests for his fighter and his red mage, which are fairly solid armor, even as cheap as they go.
Yeah, they do go a very long way to get started here, so... jkoper's on the first chest check. Very first chest of the game is a pro ring, so not a bad start at all. And Opal Shield and Temple of Fiends as well, not going to be very useful for now. You can't equip Opal Shields until past promotes, so they may hang on to it, or they may turn it in for a pile of gold if they happen to need that. And Black Knight's also on the chest dive as well, while Ice 2 cleans up Garland pretty quickly. So we'll get our first progression items of the game.
Slab and canoe. So no floater sighting yet, but looks like we'll be going counterclockwise past the Dwarf Cave and south to Elfland.
Yeah, not getting locked out of cabins early is really, really helpful.
Looks like jkoper does go ahead and sell that that Opal Shield for the 3,000 gold.
Yeah, cashing out makes good sense. Chain vests all around for the red mages. And then we'll probably follow up with a round of cabins as well to help get them down to the southern half of the southern continent. But otherwise, no major problems of note so far. Black Knight also cleans up Garland very quickly and will be rewarded with the same slab and canoe to get him off to a good start. So, Silver, is there anything that we want to look out for in the early game here for this run? This counterclockwise run's been really common, but what's worth noting at that point with this run?
So the biggest thing, in my opinion, that's worth noting is getting that level 5 so you can actually cast third level spells, or level 6 in the case of red mages, can sometimes be a little tricky. You don't have those level 2 spells, and we only have Ice 2 at level 1, so they won't really be able to clear out super strong stuff with spells very early yet. So we'll probably see Ice 2 thrown at some ogres or other packs of enemies on the way down. And just the stuff in Elfland can be expensive, so money can be a real problem on this route as well.
That's an early ruby in Dwarf Cave. I think we may have a feeling about what that could possibly mean tonight. Do you think the floater's hiding from us today? Far, far away in a cave?
It could be that. It could be a red herring ruby. We will see. But, I would not be surprised if the ship shows up.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of ruby seeds already. They say the odds are pretty low, but, anything is possible at this point. We could be in for a long one. There seems to be a really long run in this encounter table for both players, as jkoper makes the run nearly from the entirety of Dwarf Cave down to Elfland with one encounter. That bodes very well for having to do early dives if there's an early dive into Ice Cave on their mind at this point.
It's a Fire 3 pickup. That's a good AoE spell. It's actually not that much stronger than Ice 2, incidentally, though.
Yeah, but it's in a different spell slot, so, more there. There's Cure 4 in slot
in the
4.
white mage spot.
Yeah, we've seen this actually earlier today in a different race. It's always a bit of a downer. You want to live that dream. Exit's there for 2,300 gold at level 4 as well, so that is at least on the table. Worth noting, neither runner running a white mage, so that Cure 4 is going to sit there in the shop, sadly, for the entirety of the run.
Interestingly, we have cabins less expensive than tents.
And we've got steel armor on cheap here. Will be helpful for Black Knight, because he is running a frontline knight. Pro rings are 13,500 gold as well, which is pretty darn good. So, some good options here early on. Yeah, Black Knight selects that Cure 4 and does not learn it to the Red Mage either, so...
This is quite a long run from, on the overworld from jkoper.
Yeah, there is definitely There's a notable early stretch of no encounters here, for sure.
I don't think it's right after Power On.
I mean, even one reset is excellent, though.
Maybe
That's what you want.
It is. It looks like it is right after Power On.
Wow.
There is, in fact, a thief. It wasn't even a forced thief. jkoper deliberately chose a thief in his party. There is one major thing that Thief is actually good at doing, which is running away. Now, the way the meta's been going, this has been reduced value by most players, even beyond what we would normally consider a Thief to be good for, because people have been favoring picking up their XP and clearing out many of the normal packs of enemies instead of running away as frequently as possible. It looks like we have the bottle in the shop, but it's a bit too expensive right now.
Yeah, 21,000 is not that bad.
So we'll see. Maybe he's gonna Dan his thief at some point. Maybe he's going to actively use it as a good runner. But given the black belt choice, it seems like jkoper might be using the quote-unquote older strats of massively grinding his black belt and just doing a dedicated grind for that, and then running away, and then sticking with the thief for the running away stuff. So we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know, it feels a little bit slow, but if you don't get the big sweepers, and we didn't see Nuke, we didn't see Fade, they might still be up there at rank 2, but we haven't seen the big sweepers that a lot of people have been relying on to post really fast times and really good grinds. Also worth noting, the loot was a Circle of Sages, so we are still floater free for the moment as we hike on up to Bicky the Pirate on jkoper's side.
Yeah, we could see a vanilla ship here. Or we could have to dig ice or volcano for the ship.
Yeah,
marsh.
Floater could just pop up too. That is still in play. I'm not rooting for that at this point, but I don't know what everybody else wants to see. Okay, Black Knight scoped out that bottle, so he knows that he's going to need to have 21 grand in his future.
Also, the message in jkoper appears to be slightly rearranged so that his red mages go to the back of the party, but it looks like it's going to be sorry for the dropped frames. Oh, no! Bicky's got an airship. Or at least the rock for an airship.
He's got the keys to the car, but he didn't know where to find it. Yep. So it looks like jkoper is going to go and root through some spell shops and then head on down and get out there and fly.
We were hoping that would be natural. On the other hand, I would love to go to bed. So it looks like we'll have a track south to the little floater. You getting a little hiccup from the tube?
Yeah, getting a little bit of audio hiccup. Notable on level 2 black mages is lit 3. So there's your extra sweeper.
Okay, so we have fire 3 and lit 3 and ice 2. So at least we have, we have all 3 elements. You don't have the ultra powerful stuff like nuke or ice 3, but you can generally pick the weak spell if you know your enemies, And so we'll see if these runners know what is weak to what.
Yeah.
Lit 3 is fairly strong. It's the Fire 3 is the weakest of the tier 3s, and then Lit 3 is a little more powerful, and then Ice 3 is the most powerful of the tier 3 spells. So we'll see if the runners are familiar with what's weak to what, because this is kind of one of those situations where if you know your stuff there, then that'll be a notable advantage.
Yeah, jkoper with some minor routing tricks there too, crossing in and out of the river to get those free steps from crossing the river on top of this great encounter table. So they're able to pick up their airship at 11:55 without much concern. And it looks like it's gonna be first stop Cardia. Yep, first stop for some chests at Cardia Isle, while Black Knight finishes the hike up to Provoca at this point in time, running from a couple of encounters. Not using the tents quite as aggressively, or tents cabins quite as aggressively, but I think that's a little bit of an experience that comes through. I know I'm also one of the newer runners, and I do that a lot of the time, not quite measuring up the table correctly.
Looks like we have an adamant spotting. Unfortunately, jkoper does not have a knight.
Yeah, and that's in an easy-to-find spot, too. I don't know how happy he is to see that there, considering that, Black Knight is likely to make that same play. That is a basically near 100% checked spot on these flags. Zangreef does mention that Excal could sell for money as well. I mean, it does have value, certainly. We may see one of the very first sold Excals of this round, and possibly this tournament. Alright, Black Knight upgrading some swords before wandering on over with their Lit 3 in hand to go slay some pirates with lightning, it looks like. And jkoper's
is the case, maybe.
Whichever element comes up first.
Oh, we have a fade at level 5. Nice. Okay, so we do have a nice, powerful non-elemental spell.
Yep.
We also have fast. So
Black Belt,
pretty good offensive spell selection at this point. Just no spamming nukes willy-nilly, and you don't get that many level 5s on a red mage, so that'll be a little restricted as well. Neither player has white mages available. We also have the gold bracelet spotting. It looks like jkoper wants to pick up some of them.
Yeah, and with fast at the same level as well, that can be a little bit tough. You've got to be very judicious with the spells that you use. Fade will be great in the mid-game stretch, but you have to wait a while to get those level 5 spell charges on your red mage. But of course, this does mean that we could be looking at heavily ground up, fasted black belts. If they find the power bonk on top of that, we could see some black belts, doing some really large numbers tonight. Okay. Alright, so Black Knight back on his way to drop off his floater stone. We've got a Toes Up Black Mage, took a death on the way. jkoper gonna go and turn in his adamant, and then probably eventually turn it into some gold. Were those trolls with frost over on Black Knight's side?
I wasn't sure. I didn't see if it was the trolls or the bulls that cast it. Ooh, bulls have Brack. Looks like this Peninsula of Power, wherever that is. Oh, that's not Peninsula. Was that Peninsula of Power?
No, that was traveling down to drop off the floater stone. That was south of Crescent Lake.
That's a rough death to not have a cabin anywhere. Looks like he didn't buy any cabins, and now he might be going to do just that.
Yeah, it's as such for any runner, experienced or not, it's really important to carry cabins in Final Fantasy 1. You've got to save on the road, and so the whole idea is that that's your real opportunity to save and reset the encounter table, and if you're not doing that...
Why won't jkoper feed the Titan? Because jkoper is not a memer, I'm sorry. He is a Trogdor lover, but he's not a memer.
I mean, come on, Syl. There are absolutely no memers in the Final Fantasy IV randomizer community. Or the Final Fantasy I randomizer community at that, excuse me.
Looks like jkoper sells the Excalibur to a random merchant.
Here, have this beautiful legendary sword. It's great. Also, along the way, he picked up a black shirt as well. Must have been from the Cardia Isles as well. I did miss that. But he's got it in his inventory.
Well. But looks like that's going to fund some purchasing.
I mean, it's at least funding a supply run, which is not the worst thing here. Oh, as Zangief is going to clean us up there. Actually, black shirt was in Titan's Trove. I think, like I was telling Zangief before, you know, the tough thing about being tracker, you actually have to pay attention.
Looks like jkoper's going to be heading over to the Temple Ordeals.
Yep, you know, good sensible dungeon to go to. I mean, still fairly low level at this point. Hasn't really, you know, hit up the grinding yet. No character at 100 hit points at this point. Okay, and now we've got Black Knight starting to pop some tents on the way down. Downriver, finds a pack of Peds, so we'll see what they do with that. And looks like they are going to start throwing some Ice 2 blasts at them, so it looks like they definitely want the experience from this Ped pack, but they are Peds, and they do hit pretty hard.
Meanwhile, jkoper's struggling with the random teleporters. And Black Knight kills some Peds, banks quite a few levels off of it, and then pops a tent to save.
There we go. So that's going to be very useful just to get off to a good start. jkoper resets the Pillar Maze a second time. And Black Knight's going to take to the skies. I mean, the tough thing about even if he finds the Adamant, though, is that he'll definitely need the tail behind it to get use out of it. So it's not that exciting to start, but it's a nice endgame weapon.
Yeah, we haven't seen the tail at all, so we don't know for certain if that's going to be a thing. Yeah, we both of these are running very non-standard parties. We have the black belt chosen by Black Knight, and then we have a thief and thief and double red mage for jkoper, and black belt again. So both of them are running black belts. jkoper's not running a knight at all. jkoper gets sent back to the very start of Ordeals and does a power off, trying to take advantage of this long walk to figure out what the correct teleporters are. Is a good strategy to do it since he doesn't have access to warp.
Yeah, and also has access to this really long stretch of encounterless action, so
exactly.
He's taking advantage of all of that to get through this Pillar Maze. Black Knight decides to deviate, though, and is going to go ahead and drop into the armory on floor 2 of Volcano. Rather than going up to the Cardia Isles. I'm sure that they will head up there eventually. Now is not the time, but they find an ice shield for their troubles right off the bat, which is a nice find.
Zumbles have rub.
Not ideal, certainly. Alright. Gargoyles, nothing that we've seen just yet on them. And Black Knight finds one of the rarer packs is unrunnable down in Volcano, finds double giants, double iguanas. It's a lot of experience for the early game.
It's okay. It's a solid amount of XP.
Yeah, I don't think we're saying no to it at this point at level 7, so...
Yeah, he's not saying no to it either.
Definitely a call I agree with here. Nothing too exciting in ordeals other than a silver bracer, or silver bracelet, so...
Well, he has use for that, because he couldn't afford enough gold bracelets for everybody.
Makes sense.
And there's the cube.
And now that black belt's going to the front.
Is he trying to get the black belt killed, or is he trying to have the black belt actually be a tank? We'll see.
I mean, if he's trying to get the black belt killed, he's doing a very good job of it.
It's quite a few. I guess he decided that the red mages needed to live the most through that fight, because if they die, then he can have a hard time clearing the fight.
Yeah.
Given that they're the ones with the harm spells.
Yeah, the hard 4 charges being really important there. I'm a little surprised that they didn't kill any more dragons up there. They still had 5 harm charges to go through.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision. He hasn't picked up very much XP at all.
Yeah,
meanwhile, we have Black Knight looting some of the further back chests in Volcano. Some runners will skip these because of how much extra walking they take, but we did have an incentivized... No, we didn't have an incentivized ruby. Never mind. We haven't had any weird items incentivized yet.
No, but also, neither runner has really found any of the major power so far. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing that I think we found at this point is the black shirt.
Yep. We did see the Excalibur as well, but with no tail, it doesn't do very much, and it wasn't even on the runner with a knight in his party.
Right. Fire Elemental's unrunnable, so this could get dangerous in a hurry. They're generally pretty notorious for meleeing pretty hard.
Yep. But with that Ice 2, clears them out. Ice 2 is a pretty beefy spell. And we finally get over to the armory. Oh, not quite. Got some EXPs first.
Yeah,
looks like he's running a little low on spells, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're both right on top of that one. Running out of juice at this point. But, getting levels, getting out, getting a house, or dropping back to Crescent, and, reloading is going to be very important here.
Looks like he's really trying to preserve those last few spells and not have to finish off this last peed with a lit 3 or something. And he uses his last black magic, or last black mage spell, but he has some on the red mage still.
Yep, pushes over to level 10. Shows a little bit of inexperience here, turning that corner tight and finding an elemental in his way rather than striding around that spike tile and finding some free passage to some treasure chests.
Yeah, this is the worst guard dog. jkoper's entering Earth and checking some chests. He does have the rod, so he can go all the way to Lich.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't have the levels to cast Fade, though. Doesn't have the big spells to finish strong. So this is a tough decision here. It's a very ambitious start to this run for him at this point with minimal grind. Black Knight running from Peeves now because they are fairly low on resources here as they try to clean up the last couple of chests here. ETAP lets us know that there was a bridge down here. I mean, as places to find the bridge go.
Yeah, that could definitely be a Sparkover bridge. from the Dragon Warrior randomizer, where you have a randomized world map. A Sparkover bridge is a bridge that leads to a single tile of land surrounded by water.
It's there because it's scenic, not because you really need it. Alright, Black Knight has run out of the volcano at this point in time, so is going to scurry away with what little loot they found down there.
It's like they're also going to use that loot to purchase some more stuff.
Making sure that they've got the necessary magics. So on the left side, so for jkoper, let's say goodbye to the vampire. You know, gone before his time. Died to Holy Light, 2018.
It's interesting how low jkoper is when going down to dive to beat a fiend. And I mean, he does have plenty of AoE with the black shirt that can clear out many of the packs here, and lots of harm spells as well as ice and fire.
Yeah.
But, you know, if something has a nasty lit 2 or something, he could just suddenly wipe. So it's a little risky doing this too.
Yeah, I mean, gonna get a bunch of experience as he goes along though, so if he can hold together, it's gonna be a pretty good scene for him going forward. I think the decision might have been made because Harm 4, you're definitely looking to conserve those charges. Works on Lich, he's undead, and that becomes very important. You know, that kind of power might be the kind of thing that decides a maneuver like this early on.
That was just damage that killed the black belt, right?
Yeah, the black belt's not terribly well armored at this point in time, so just got killed over by 2 hits.
Just making sure I didn't miss a death touch.
Alright, and so Black Knight's down here, gonna talk to Sarda. Sarda's gonna give him his rod, so we are, you know, opening up those options for Earth Cave. Black Knight's a little bit up on levels, which is good. I think cracking 11 in Volcano, or at least 10. Yeah, Zangri mentions that he went into Earth, dove it, and fast dove it. Not checking chests, missing the upper trove on the lower floors.
Room that's right along the path in the second floor, and then he skipped almost everything else.
Yeah, he's trying to work through this pretty quickly here. Black Knight finds his black shirt down in the trove. A couple of Harm 4 pokes, and Lich dies pretty horrendously, pushing out jkoper's party to level 9.
And we have Troll Shadows guarding his airship. And they're going to get harmed for it as well.
Shout out to Marsh Cave, the place that we never want to go in these seeds. Black Knight taking a moment to drop off the slab, a good call here, make sure he's got it translated.
One thing that's interesting about jkoper's party, he's not going to be very reliant on equipment. He's not running a knight, which is the equipment reliant character. He's running a black belt, so he probably doesn't really care too much about. Like, you can even skimp a little bit on ribbons with a black belt if they if you level them and they get all that magic resist.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy. The big thing is that the tough thing is that if you come up against a knight player who is finding the equipment that they need to progress, then you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. You know, most of the ways that, you know, people were grinding black belts was 32, but you need that higher experience multiplier for that. The Split Punched is a little bit confused in chat, asking, do we have Forced Red Mage and both players deliberately taking a black belt?
That is correct. We also, not only that, but we also have jkoper taking a Thief. So, yeah. It's interesting. I don't know if I like it, but it's interesting.
Yeah, that level 5 Fade E-Tap is also paired off with level 5 Fast as well, so for jkoper it's interesting because his Red Mages can use both, technically, but may not want to necessarily, while Black Knight does have a dedicated Black Mage at this point.
Oh, there's that bridge. So now jkoper's also found a bridge. It's a lava bridge.
I mean, Split Punch, just so you're aware, are you awake? I don't know. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast here. You know, it's pretty late in the evening, so this is a good West Coast race. But yeah, you're here. This is happening. This is awesome. It's good to see people kind of going outside of the bounds of the meta. jkoper sees nothing of value in the armory for him and just decides to bail out and reset.
He didn't even keep the bridge.
Well, urban development not on the game plan.
We do have level 4 temper from the for that too. So you know you can temper up your black belt as well, and that's really powerful given the number of hits that a black belt gets to do. Since temper is going to add about 14 damage per hit.
I'm still really interested in seeing where jkoper is going to finally choose to find his levels.
Perhaps he'll check out the Agama spot, given that, you know, he has that black shirt, so the thief can even contribute the levels. He's got another, there's a pro ring from that chest.
Always a good pickup to just, you know, give yourself a little bit of extra absorb and that, you know, that elemental resistance to some of the status spells. Alright, and they're high-fiving on the deeper parts of Volcano here as they both move into the second treasure floor of Volcano. jkoper's skipping chests.
Yeah, I was. Oh, there's the power bonk. That's a definitely nice find for a black belt. It's a nice find for anyone, really.
Yeah, you have a physical character? Well, you want this. You know, it looks like a big part of the puzzle for both racers is gonna drop into their arms at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to miss given that it's in one of the main pathway chest rooms rather than in one of these side rooms that, you know, you could consider skipping.
Absolutely. I know we saw jkoper skip the 5 chests in the northwest here, so... Bulls with Brack have turned a couple of Black Knights units to stone, and by a couple I guess we mean 3. And...
Yikes! Does jkoper have the soft potions to deal with this is the question.
Well, I mean, you need to have 3, and they're usually pretty expensive. So people coming over from other races, just a brief recap then to get us started, other than these bulls who have been casting Brack and ruining people's days. We started off with the Slab and the Canoe from the royal family up in Cronaria. They moved through to Dwarf Cave and we got a ruby and we all got really excited for a second here, but the ruby did not really come into play, as you'll find in a second. But first they stopped at the Circle of Sages, got themselves a guitar, found the bottle for sale in the shop at Crescent Lake for 21,000 gold. Bicky the Pirate, again, had the keys to a better car, had the floater stone handy, so that ruby goes to the wayside. Melvin has gold bracelets for 7k. Ordeals held the cube. Sarda had the rod at this point in time. We've had no dips into Waterfall, and that's where we stand at this point in time. jkoper has finished up Earth Cave at this point in time, ended up doing early Lich off of level 1 Harm 4, is now trying to figure out how to deal with having 2 statues in his party.
And no soft potions. Another thing to note, the forced class is actually Red Mage, and yet both players chose to run black belts, which is not a quote-unquote meta choice that we've seen very much. Looks like this Agama packs a bit of a punch. It might not be a great leveling choice, because even though he's got the gold bracelet and the he's got a gold bracelet and a pro ring, and yet that Agama just melee down that black belt, no problem, through the gold bracelet, pro ring.
Yeah, stun touch and unrunnable Agamas are not going to be friendly, and that means that unrunnable stun touch Agama may exist in Temple of Fiends as well. So, not the best thing that you want to see. Black Knight just grabbed his Adamant, by the way, and is now scraping through the Cardia Isles. Won't find too much else of major interest.
Yeah, but unlike jkoper, he actually has a knight, so, or will have a knight once he limping out of red mage.
This is a heck of a run to have to make at this point in time to salvage the power bonk. 100% worth it though. Like, as items go, this is one that you desperately want.
Yeah, he probably also wants to keep that XP that he picked up too.
Yeah, I mean, having that one red mage at 12, that's spell charges, and spell charges are real important.
A little bit of an experience. Forgetting which of the Cardi Islands rooms actually have treasures in them.
I think, as I've said before, that is definitely something I will do in the future, though. So I am, I am one of those people who will probably go to the wrong Cardi Isle in a run at some point. So
it took me some time to remember too, which one is which.
Oh, Stun Touch Sphinx is
he's
not
in
what you want to find here.
Volcano 1, and he's gonna go down.
Is he
Sad.
dead on?
He's dead on Volcano 1 after walking all that way.
Dead on the stairwell. That's unpleasant. That was probably the last encounter to get out as well.
Nope. Got stun touched by those sphinxes. It looked like he was trying to cast a Lit 3 to just kill them because it'd be more reliable than running away. But he didn't even get the turn.
Yeah,
so he's taking stock of where he is. And,
yeah,
ouch.
I mean,
that's painful. He knows the power bonk is down there. He knows which chest it's in. I didn't see anything else exciting. Oh, there's a pro ring, I think.
Yeah, but the pro ring was in the very first box on the lower treasure floor, so should not be something he passes up. But yeah, just from a tilt control perspective, he ends up flying to Earth Cave or to Ice Cave. So from a tilt control perspective, if something like that happens, taking that minute to stop and breathe is never a bad idea. Going into dungeons on tilt is a bad idea. You know, you're going to get off your game plan and you're going to get yourself killed again, and you're going to go harder on tilt until you spiral out.
You know, he knows those Agamas aren't going to be a great grind spot because they hit like trucks. And, speaking of hitting like trucks, there goes a black belt real quick. Anyway, I was about to say, not going into the same place that you wiped in is probably a great choice here. Looks like he's going to try to better armor that black belt frontliner.
Yeah, definitely a very, choice, I guess, looking for eye grind potentially down here. I mean, it's going to be a very long run to get there, but...
And if you didn't notice jkoper's party, it is sorry for the drop frames. He is having a little bit of internet issues. We'll just have to bear with him. Anyway, so Ice Cave, we have all the harm 4s at level 1 slots, so clearing out these packs of undead won't be the hugest problem.
I mean, assuming those packs of undead don't clear him out first.
That is the case.
Black Knight doubling back to the item shop at Crescent with their 22,000 and is going to buy their bottle now. So they are going to, get that, use it up, while jkoper continues to harm for the undead in Ice Cave for levels and gold. Black Knight takes a good long look at Ice Cave before deciding, man, maybe that's not for me. Right, so Ice Cave Dive going quite well so far, goes to the lower trove in Ice Cave, the 6th chest room, skips the 6th chest with the encounter behind it, trying to save some resources. Well, Black Knight is having some economy issues right now with their 900 gold in hand. jkoper sprinting away for more dragons as they keep getting dragon encounters that they definitely cannot take right now. So, Sil, what are your thoughts so far 40 minutes into this right now?
These are some really low levels, and that's probably the thing that make me the most uncomfortable if I were in this situation. Because it can be pretty hard to get things done when you don't have a lot of spell charges to work with. You don't have a lot of HP to work with. You can just suddenly wipe to a thunder or something like that.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of black belt attacks to work with either. I mean,
those black belts are really level reliant. Until 21, they do very little damage at all. And
yeah, level 8, they're not very exciting to have in your party at all.
Looks like we have the tail from the eye, and it looks like jkoper wants to grind on the eye a bit too. He's going to use that black shirt as a stand-in for a weapon. The eye doesn't have that much health. Ooh, but this mute could actually cause problems.
Yeah, that shuts down the magical offensive.
It also shuts down that black shirt.
And this eye looks like, I mean, against these incredibly weak weapons, of course, everything's going to look like it has an incredibly high amount of absorb, but...
Yeah, he doesn't even have the extra hits on his black belt yet.
He could be here for a minute. One damage hit from the red mage kills it. Do you think the mute makes him reconsider?
It does.
So jkoper's dream of grinding on Agamas brought down by stun touch. The dream of the eye being brought down by the fact that he has absolutely no weapons and no levels to start with, so he cannot take down eyes who have mute. Comes down to where's he go next?
Yeah, he's going to really want to find a good, safe place for that black belt to grind his way up. Given that, you know, that black belt is going to need some love before he can really pull his weight in the party. But once he gets that love, man, can a black belt pull their weight.
And everybody else's weight, too. I mean, if I were in jkoper's shoes right now, my consideration here would be pop grinding. You've got harm 4, you've got fire 3, you've got a few levels to start with. You know, just a nice safe push up to like 13 is probably in play at this point.
Oh, these are some seriously dangerous wizards too. They have AoE stone poison.
You really don't want to see that. I mean, with Lightning 3, it's great, you can take them apart, but that's just not a good time for anybody. Finds a Sun Sword, finds his way out in a hurry at that point, hits the good part of his encounter table right on time.
Yep. And I think he might want to go buy some soft potions now. That's the second time that he's had some serious problems with people being turned to stone in mass. And he has the money to spend on it now, too. But he's going to go turn in his bottle first, and maybe there'll be soft potions in this item shop.
F1 Beyond It says, get him a t-shirt. I went to Ice Cave and all I got was his lousy tail. I mean, the tail's important. He's not going to use it till his black belt's in the 20s in terms of levels anyway, because of the magic defense growth, because it goes from 3 to 1 once you promote to master, which is not a good time, because your black belt does not get to equip much stuff with magic defense as it is, other than the ribbon.
Also noting that if you equip the ribbon, then you have to also find your absorb from other sources, because it dropped. You lose the innate absorb that a black belt has.
Just not a good scene all the way around. Another reason to people have been setting aside the black belt at this point, because you get a lot of early tails, which means a lot of early promotes. All right, Black Knight has found his way down to say hi to Vampire. We didn't get really much of a chance to do it before, but let's say hi to Vampire.
Hi, Vampire. Bye, Vampire.
Right, but jkoper starts mopping up some fetch quests up here. I guess maybe mermaids are on the agenda, possibly.
They might be. He does have all the key items to be in go mode, but he doesn't really have the equipment he wants.
I mean, he is missing the crown, which I'm pretty sure at this point has to be in Waterfall Cave. So because we have not seen him dip Waterfall.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
But maybe going to link them together, do Waterfall, do Mermaids, do Sea Shrine potentially here. Black Knight has found out that wizards are literally the most dangerous enemy in the area today.
Interestingly, it was actually jkoper's thief that saved him earlier with that runaway.
Yeah, that high run rate did save the day there. Saved him another long wipe that would have hurt a ton.
Oh, that's a questionable decision there, to choose to run away with the Black Mage instead of cast like a Lightning 3. But it works, and he makes it out alive. He only had one soft potion to work with, but this should be enough to get past Lich and get out of the Earth Cave. Unless this... Oh, he's not screwing around this time. Although he doesn't know that he should be using Lit instead of...
It's a moot point now because both of his spellcasters are bricks.
Both of his spellcasters have turned into bricks before getting turns. And he doesn't have a soft potion to deal with it. So that's a harsh thing. Is he gonna go back to Earth Cave? I would advise not to.
There are many good options out there on the table.
jkoper demonstrating the knowledge of enemy weaknesses using Ice 2s on those nightmares for solid 200 damage.
Also, Zaxter2 does mention in the chat, crazy idea, what if the bottle, rather than releasing the fairy, releases a randomized item giving NPC? Well, the idea is that the settings that we're using for the Swiss rounds of the tournaments are not terribly randomized because the fetch quests are still linear. So when you get the crown, you turn it in for the crystal, you turn that in for the herb with Matoya, which you turn in to get the key at Elfland, right? And that's locked in, but in later rounds, that's going to get shuffled out, and that's one of the settings in the randomizer. So, you know,
well, the fairy will give you a random thing instead of giving the Oxyhale, but the bottle still will release specifically the fairy. I don't think that particular script has been redone. Oh, Whiz Mummies, I think it is, have Glare, which is the instant death ability that the eye normally uses.
Yep. Goes down there, finds...
There's the crown from the waterfall, and the TNT, incidentally.
Well, we didn't need that today, though.
I don't think we have a warp spell either.
We do not at this point, so he is going to have to try and get through the spike tile again.
Yep. Looks like he just bolts it. Oh, there's Out of Bounds Bat. Hello, Out of Bounds Bat.
Runs from the first pack of Wizard Mummies, but the second pack decides to show up and is like, yeah, no, you're not getting away that easily.
He will take on these Paralisks. That's a nice batch of XP. I think he's running a little low on those Harm 4 spells, so that might be why he started running from the Mummy packs.
That would make sense. Those packs are very difficult to take down without, you know, wide sweepers. In the right seeds, when they're not packing Glare or rolling very high on their stats, they're also a great place to AoE grind. It's a place I tend to have a big preference for to kind of make that shift from the lower teens to the to the mid to upper teens, depending upon what I need. Again, though, much safer with Warper, Exit, and a pile of spell charges to burn up against mummies that don't roll well in terms of skills or money or skills or health.
So, interestingly, both runners at this point have had some slightly embarrassing wipes. But it looks like Black Knight's in trouble again in the ice cave. Yep, there's a squint as well. Those red bones are mean this time.
Yeah, Squint, another instant death attack on a fairly common enemy that you see enough of. Just a frightening scene at this point. I mean, we've seen Glare, we've seen Squint, we've seen Stone Poison. There's not a lot of good times out there right now.
So yeah, that's, you know, we've seen wipes in Volcano, Ice, and Earth Cave at this point. From both runners have had some pretty big time loss wipes. So yeah, this is a scary seed. We don't have a pro ring shop either yet, do we?
We did. I believe that they were. I don't remember if they were in Elf or in Boca, but I think
they were like 40K.
I'm sure that somebody will remind us, and if not, then the runners will. But jkoper's decided to start doing the crown quest, so gonna go again, like we mentioned, go get the crystal and go to find an interesting way to remove Astos from the world here. Yeah, Zangief mentions no ribbons have been found. There was an adamant in the world, so Black Knight has an Excalibur that he'll be able to use eventually. No major swords otherwise.
But the tail is in the ice cave, and he just wiped out of there, so he's not going to have that Excalibur usage for some time now. Looks like he's heading back to Earth Cave. Hopefully this time did you see him pick up soft potions?
I'm trying to pay attention. I did not see if he did a shop stop, but I'm sure we'll find out in a minute once Wizards decide to start turning his party to stone again.
Yeah.
It looked like he was flying around a little bit. He was real unsure of where to go because everything was dangerous. Did he save? I don't think so. He may be a little bit on tilt at this point.
Yeah, the key quest play has become a bit of a meta thing where, you know, once you've got the airship, you kind of run around, do all your key item stuff, turn in your crown. Given the lack of gear, getting those chests from the Mystic Key is great right now.
Yeah, not counting ones that are in dungeons, that's 18 chests that you get access to that you can go into towns and not have to run a single encounter.
Yep. It won't be too difficult to get the ones in the Temple of Fiends with this long hero run we have right after Power On. We might see that one as well, just because it's just some quick gargoyle fights to see the peek at those chests, and that's 3 more. I would say that jkoper has a slight lead, given that Black Knight has wiped out of 2 dungeons, whereas jkoper has only wiped out of 1 dungeon. But both runners have had some pretty big time loss wipes, and it's a little hard to call right now.
Yeah, it's definitely, we're in a difficult spot right now. I think the big difference is that jkoper did just finish up his crown quest, while Black Knight has not gone to the upper continent to drop into Waterfall Cave yet. You know, is a little bit behind with wrapping up fetch quests and things. You know,
and Black Knight's checking these kind of slow to check chests, looking for some better gear. He's finding some better gear, like the flame shields and so forth. Although he already had an ice shield, so yeah. Not an upgrade for the knight, and the red mage cannot use shields.
Yeah, red mages are great with pro capes, but that's generally about the extent of it. Alright, so jkoper made a supply stop at Elfland, it looks like. Still has 3 orb dungeons on the docket, but otherwise that is that at this point. So, yep, going to the Corneria Treasure Trove.
After checking some chests in Earth, it looks like Black Knight is bailing on it and going to do something else, maybe. Oh, he might go do the turn in turn in his slab? No. He
jkoper,
already translate his slab?
he translated it earlier. Yes, he translated on his first trip down. jkoper finds the Zeus Gauntlet, by the way, in the Corneria Treasure Trove. So another rank 2 sweeper item. This one casting Lit 2. You could definitely do worse.
Yeah, and especially with these the thief and the lowish level black belt, they really appreciate to have spell items to be flinging around while they're waiting on being useful. The black belt needing a bunch of levels before he punches reasonably hard, and the thief waiting on class change so that he can actually equip something resembling a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, black belt punching for 8 or black belt not sure how to wave his gauntlet around, but it works and does a bunch of damage is, in play.
Looks like jkoper reset warps out of the dwarf cave after checking like all 8 chests in there, because there was...
Yeah, complete blank there. Only an item of note from all 3 troves was the Zeus Gauntlet.
The Zeus is loose. That's a good DH Stomp.
Alright, Black Knight decides to go ahead and grab that Uxial. jkoper, again, looks like taking another minute here to figure out what the game plan is.
I think he's looking at his key items and trying to figure out, making sure that he is in key item go mode, although he's probably not going to consider himself in equipment go mode. But he is, in fact, in go mode as far as key items are concerned.
Right. So, still, you've run this randomizer a little bit more than I have at this point. So when you're in a seed like this, where every dungeon seems to have something that's very capable of ruining your day, how do you go about sort of, planning your route, or at least sort of trying to keep yourself on a route to get through dungeons successfully?
I know it's not really in meta, but this is where I like to power level. I want to get some more HP so that I can get through places without getting my face stomped in. And some more spell charges so that I can just clear packs quickly. And I think that's, especially if you're running a black belt type party, I think that you are going to have to commit to spending real time gaining levels. We have Black Knight going into the Sea Shrine. Looks like he's going to say hello to the mermaids. Going right, he picks up Dragon Armor. That is a very nice piece of armor that requires class change.
It's completely useless right now, but...
Although he does notice that he has an Iron Armor lurking around. And upgrades the chainmail to an Iron Armor there.
Decides to slip into something a little more bulky, I see.
I like this this Sea Shrine option, given that they have plenty of Lit 3 charges.
Yep, everything except for Water Elementals tends to take a ton of damage from the lightning spells down here. Water Elementals, oddly enough, weak to ice.
Looks like jkoper's going to make another run through the volcano. He saw that the power gauntlet was in here, but then wiped. Actually losing everybody except his red mage earlier, and then was trying to limp out with a single red mage alive and wiped on the first floor right before making it to the stairs.
Yeah, dead on the stairwell might be the story of this. Black Knight, so we're going to get a mermaid visit this fine evening.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, an excellent dive if you're feeling gear starved. If you haven't found the tools to get you there, these just once you get down here, no encounters. Finds himself the first ribbon of the round, so he's got a nice hat. jkoper's rooting through the boxes here. I believe he remembers that there's a power bonk down here, but I don't think he remembers which box exactly it was in.
He actually didn't even check that room, but you're right. He might not remember exactly where it is. It's in this room down here. Oh, yeah, did he just walk past it?
He just ran by it. Ooh, boy. I'm a little surprised
This is what happened to him last time, where he lost a bunch of people to those Brack Bulls, but this time he actually has a pack of soft potions instead of a single lone soft potion, so it's in okay shape this time.
Yeah, but...
We saw a ribbon on Black Knight's side.
Yeah, first ribbon was in the Mermaid Trove, which is always a nice find. And a light axe, so a great weapon for the knight right now. You know, able to cast harm. It's harm 3, correct?
I think it's harm 2. Harm 2's pretty, like, the harm spells are a fairly powerful bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. But also swings for a decent amount as well. You know, not going to be much of a slouch swinging that thing. jkoper gonna go and stop at the red dragon chest before deciding to go and...
Yeah. The Agamas remember, jkoper remembers they have a reasonably strong melee attack, but they didn't do anything else fancy. So now that he actually has his whole party up this time, it's not as dangerous as it was when he was trying to get through with just 2 people and 2 statues.
Yeah, stun touch is very scary as your party gets thinner, but when you're at full party, it's scary, but a little bit less so. Yeah, especially when your DPS, though, at this point is not really relying on a key character, but you've got 2 sweepers and 2 item users trying to go at it. I was going to say meleeers, but they still don't have the levels to actually swing at things. On the other side, Black Knight is bolting down the unrunnable Sahag pack in Sea Shrine right now. I'm going to get rewarded with a good stack of experience for his troubles.
He's still only level 11, wow.
Yeah, we're an hour in and both parties are still under level 15. That is some crazy stuff right now. I mean, wipes have not helped the cause here any, but, you know, you gotta get your levels somewhere, and all the good spots feel like that they've just gone bad.
That is a seriously weird-looking carry.
Yeah, this is a strange color palette. I got nothing.
Teal is in for spring is our Agama fact for the day. Didn't have very many Agama facts. Nobody's grinding on Agamas right now.
I mean, Agama fact, stun touch Agamas that hit for 90 will kill you.
jkoper takes a peek at that 5th level slot of Fade, but doesn't have any charges of that because it needs a lot of you need a lot of levels on those red mages. That's why I was talking about that. I think I would actually take some time to do a dedicated grind of some kind. Ouch, that's a painful blizzard from Carry.
Yeah.
I guess we have the white Carry, we have the ice elemental Carry. It's the Fiend of Ice now, it's not fire.
Yeah, strange Mirror Universe carry. Swinging for 13 with that red mage. It's not really going to get it done here.
I could easily see a wipe coming. We'll see if those saber casts on the red mages are enough to punch through this absorb.
We'll see. Throwing up the white shirt to try and avoid getting killed by Carrie's many sword swings.
Now remember that Cure 4 spell was level 4, but in the ice or the white mage only slot. So jkoper's not rocking any big heal spells to use mid battle either.
Yeah, and Black Belt does not have a use item except for the one that he should have been using the whole time. He has a wizard staff and could have used that to try and turn the tide.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, the 30% chance to confuse carry there would have been a ton better than the 3 points that he was meleeing for, and he takes another wipe, this time at the base of the volcano.
The second volcano. He didn't even find the power bonk.
I mean, it gives him another opportunity to grab it at least.
Yeah.
But
yeah, maybe he won't skip that room this time after not seeing it last time.
But yeah, Blizzard Blaze carry is kind of the equivalent of double nuclear in Temple of Fiend Revisited. You go in there and you're not ready for it, and all of a sudden, you're a smear on the walls.
It looks like he's gonna turn in that tail despite the black belt losing the magic defense growth.
Yeah.
So that's gonna make him a little more reliant on ribbons.
Yeah, I think that
class changed this early, but I think he wants access to the spells for his Ren mages.
And I think he wants access to his thief, being able to carry around an actual sword once he finds one.
I think he might have a sword that the ninja can use, but the thief couldn't.
That's good, because he's gonna need it at this point for sure.
Also some armor. Like that flame armor is actually equipable by a ninja.
Yeah, that'll be a big boost to defense. Also, the black belt had that Zeus Gauntlet in that fight, by the way, and that would have done a lot more damage as well.
Mm-hmm.
Both runners leaving a lot of options on the table. F1 Fiona asks, he doesn't need to check the status screen for the master. Is that fixed in FFR? And Wolfleos says, thank you so much for chiming in. But yeah, that was fixed recently. But the master absorb bug is fixed, which is awesome.
It's also fixed in the doesn't actually entirely help you way, in that if you have something equipped on your black belt, it does not matter if you gain a level, it will not reset your absorb back to the black belt's level, even if it's higher. So for example, if there was a strategy would be to just equip a ribbon on your black belt and then never look at your armor screen or your status screen and just let the level up absorb take over. That doesn't work. I believe Master is still worse off on magic defense gains.
Yep, and
there's been some debate about whether that should be fixed or whether black belts don't need the help because they are crazy powerful in certain circumstances.
Yep, Will Cleos is of course here mopping up our, cleaning up here with the knowledge, which is that yes, he mentions first, if there is no armor equipped on the black belt, the absorb is his level.
jkoper's in an awkward situation where he's against a frost giant with mute and it's unrunnable.
Yeah, hit a couple of crits though. Hit a crit with his black belt, which is very handy. Starting to get up there in terms of damage at least a little bit. But yes, it's absorb is his level unless something's equipped, then he gets his equipment levels, and he does get the reduced magic defense gain from 3 to 1 still. Yeah, no, with Liz, we definitely appreciate that. It's really good that we've got a great community out here who's able to help us all with our knowledge and build that knowledge that we can, enjoy this great randomizer. So, thank you so much.
Looks like jkoper's going to try to do the same thing that we saw Black Knight do, which is peek on into Sea Shrine, leverage those lit 3 spells to gain some experience maybe, check out the mermaids for some equipment maybe.
Yeah, seems like the play. Black Knight is down here in the Earth Cave again with a dead black belt. Seems to be the theme of the night at this point. And is trying to dive down to deal with Vampire in a moment. And jkoper finds the dragon armor, which does him about as much good as the Excalibur did just a minute ago. And Zangief mentions, do you mean Dan Belt? I mean, I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't the forced black belt, which we've seen other runners when they were forced to black belt, they would just Dan the black belt, which is to it's a Final Fantasy 1 meme of I believe started by Geyer. But basically just to pick a character, leave them on the ground for the entire run, never give them XP, because XP in this game is split among party members. So by having somebody dead, not gaining XP, it gives more XP to the rest of the party. jkoper appears to be wishing he brought a knight. He just picked up that dragon armor. He has the Excalibur. Actually, he sold the Excalibur to a merchant.
Yeah, that Excalibur is definitely in the past tense there. There's an opal shield, too, for his troubles. Could have been the happiest knight in the world. Instead.
Meanwhile, Black Knight, after having wiped out of the ice cave, has the fighter, but the tail is in the ice cave, and he doesn't know where it is. He did find a mage staff somewhere.
Yeah,
I think it might be in one of these chests that's a little out of the way. Oh, he finds an jkoper finds an ice sword, which is a... Looks like he's giving it to the one of his red mages because his ninja is mostly spamming the black shirt every turn.
Yeah.
Whereas the red mages he might want to conserve the spell charges on.
It's a sensible decision splitting up your damage in that way. You know, a lot of it, you know, especially because we're still at fairly low levels, is definitely still in resource conservation mode. And running 2 red mages means that you never get the real resources to just sort of go all out.
Yeah, it certainly takes a lot more levels to do so.
You know, double red mage is definitely a gamble on that particular front, but jkoper comes across the first ribbon that we found in Sea Shrine with Black Knight earlier. So Max Plus Pi asks, is Ninja or Red Wizard better melee damage dealer at this point? Ninja's the second best melee damage dealer in the game. Can equip swords that are a little bit better because you can equip the katana.
But
also,
considering that right now they'd be equipping the same weapon, they're actually pretty close together.
Yeah.
I believe they actually have the same strength growth and the same hit growth. The ninja can equip the katana, which is better than any non-moss immune weapon that the red wizard is capable of equipping.
Yeah, the major thing is that, you know, Red Wizard's, you know, usual kind of top end in terms of swords other than Mass Immune is going to be the Sun Sword. So having it's a good scene, certainly, but, you know, it's not always optimal.
We haven't found the Vorpal yet because we haven't found, like, anything that resembles a decent weapon yet.
Other than Excalibur, which Black Knight
we found an Excalibur, which one runner has, the other runner sold to a merchant because they don't have a knight. And nobody can equip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have a sun sword.
jkoper did pick up a Sun Sword. Black Knight does have a light axe as well that he found in the Mermaid Trove. So there's a couple of decent weapons out there, but not a lot. Black Knight just desperately needs that tail because that'll turn his fighter from kind of meh right now to, you know, fully armored tank machine. Black Knight though,
also rocking that dragon armor as well. Waiting in the wings for the class change.
It's exactly what you want. But Black Knight was able to successfully light the Earth Warp, so he is on 1 at this point. I'm gonna go restock real quick for heal potions. Looks like since he's over here on this end of the world, looks like he's gonna get ready to delve the volcano and the ice cave in some order.
Also not sure if he needed to pick up that bottle now or if he had already picked it up. It looks like he already picked it up.
Yeah, he was in Sea Shrine earlier. He already dove
of course.
the mermaids.
He dove the mermaids before. You can't pick up that Life 2 spell yet. I believe that's in the exit slot. So once he class changes and gains enough levels to cast level 6 magic on his red. Oh, he picks up Warp. Does he have enough levels to cast Warp? I'm not sure, but it's nice to have.
I don't think he does yet. I think he's still like level 13, even with that Lich Kill. So he might be a level or 2 off before he can cast a level 6 spell with his Black Mage.
That'll seriously change the math on how much time it takes to do Ice Cave, and somewhat change the amount of time it takes to do Waterfall and Ordeals in a good way for him. Because he still hasn't gotten through Waterfall. He still hasn't done Ice Cave for that tail, which he's going to want for his knight.
Yeah, still a lot to come. Just so everybody knows, as a recap, we're an hour and 15 minutes in. Again, we started off on Slab and Canoe on this run. We again got very much enticed by the Ruby and the Dwarf chests, but it did not come to be because Vicky had the floater after a stop at the Circle of Sages netted us the No, it's just the sitar. The bottle is for sale for Crescent at 21k. Both of them have bought that already. As you can see, jkoper is, obviously using that Oxyal to good use because he's in Sea Shrine. Black Knight used it to dive the mermaids, but then bailed out. Melvin's got gold bracelets for sale for 7k. Ordeal's held the cube. Sarda's got the ride. Ice Cave has the tail, which would leave us with the cube down at the bottom of the waterfall. We still have a ways to go here. jkoper's definitely got a lot of leveling to go. Black Knight's taken a couple of wipes in inopportune places, as has jkoper. So we shall see if jkoper can, dig his way through the Sea Shrine and light up the water orb in a couple of minutes here.
Oh my goodness, was that a death touch on the lobsters, or was that just a huge hit?
I did not catch that because I was busy scribbling my notes and looking over at Black Knight's screen just to see if he was dipping treasure chests in Volcano.
It was a one-shot on the black belt, but I didn't see if there was damage involved.
That could be a little bit frightening.
Those lobsters have multiple hits, too. It is Death Touch Lobsters, thank you, chat. That's a scary enemy. It is unrunnable. Here's another ribbon.
That's another ribbon in a fairly free spot. No, that's the one that most people don't miss either, so...
Yep, so that's, so both runners will end up with 2 ribbons once they get through that.
Yeah, that's definitely a good scene.
He's gonna put them on his red mages. I agree with that choice.
Yeah. With the flame armor, he's got some resistances on the ninja at least. Mute Ghosts also meleeing for over 100 damage.
Finally, the ability to resist that mute, though, with that fresh new ribbon. You can cast Harm 4 on these. Oh, he's trying to decide between casting spells or running.
Casting spells or saving them is a big deal. Wilcleosis is, of course, in the middle of a pun war here about, having an epic rivalry with either, Falconic renaming itself Nucleosis or Will Bloodworth. That's always interesting here. I don't know, there doesn't seem like there's a ton of rivalry in the Final Fantasy community, but maybe I just haven't been around it long enough.
I think there's a bit of one between, oh, here's a katana! That's what you're looking for if you're running that ninja.
A very powerful find for sure.
Can he leverage this katana to beat Kraken?
Well, that's a very happy Black Knight, by the way, because he stopped and grabbed the bonk on the way, so he has it now on his warrior.
Or his black belt, he's trying to decide. Looks like he's going to put it on the black belt.
Going to saber himself to relevance.
And there's actually a spike tile in the middle of that room. Just like in the middle, the very middle of the room. We have fast and saber, but not temper. No, we have temper at level 4. Fast do we have?
Yeah, Zangief, we had fast at 5. It was the same level as Fade, which was, a bit problematic. There's temper at 4. Saber is at 3. Power bonk does exist. There will be a Excalibur at some point for Black Knight, and jkoper has the katana right now for his ninja, so...
Oh, yikes. This is a scary, scary Kraken who, took out that.
Oh, Kraken just swinging away for 200 a pop. No problem there.
You should be casting those lit 3s. Kraken is actually weak against that.
Yeah, Ninja goes down. All those saber casts are gone forever. We're going with melee strats now. Whoa.
453 damage. Yikes. That's kind of the result of being under-leveled there, though.
Yeah, not putting out the necessary damage.
Yeah, both have kind of avoided picking up or like actively picking up XP, and they're both running parties that are a little bit more reliant on heals than the standard triple mage fighter. Is one red mage required, and yet yeah, that's what that little thing in the middle means. Yet both players chose to run black belts. It looks like Black Knight is gonna pick up some grinding on the Agama here. Probably a good choice. Trying to do it in a very sustainable way where he's not using lots of resources per Agama.
jkoper back in Ice Cave for another dip. With the tail already in hand, this definitely has to be an eye grind setup.
Yeah. Does he have access to warp?
I'm unaware if he bought it. And even if he did, it's level 6 magic, so...
So he doesn't have the levels for it even if he bought it. Okay.
What did jkoper lose in that wipe? Complete progress through Sea Shrine. Had saved after Mermaids and come back, but lost all progress through finishing Sea Shrine.
He lost it. He also lost a ribbon.
That's right.
And a katana.
Yeah, that's a lot to lose there right at the end. Just needs to get levels somewhere though. Yeah, the ribbon was in the pass-through the pass-through chest on the middle level there. Basically the one that's right on the path down, so
we have this kind of interesting situation where nothing has been really completely safe that you could just confidently run around in a dungeon and throw spells around and gain your XP, because there's been some scary stuff in Earth, there's scary stuff in Volcano.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they don't have the tools to do it right now. It's just they don't have on either side the levels, and Black Knight still needs to go and get the tail eventually.
Black Knight also needs to go to Waterfall and get the crown.
Yeah, also, it does look like jkoper does have the Fire Orblet as well. Did kill Carrie on the way down, or on the way through, so did finish Volcano at this point. The big negative for that, which
no, did jkoper go back to it?
Yeah, jkoper. It looks like when just look at the
oh, okay. You saw
the status screen. Yeah, they has 2 orbs lit right now, and he doesn't have Kraken's orb lit because he died.
Level 16 there.
Yeah,
this is where I start feeling comfortable to run around in the orb dungeons.
Yeah, the northern orb dungeons for sure. Southern orb dungeons, usually if I've got Ice 3 or Ice 2, I don't feel bad about being down here in the lower teens, but yeah, like you can keep Kraken at level 13. That's not happening. But yeah, they both look like they're finding their grind. Black Knight putting that Bane Sword to good use, poisoning some Agama. It's going to go and find the Red Dragon here. You know, given that both players are grinding back black belts, do you think we're going to be here a while?
What I'm curious is, are we going to see the players kill off the rest of their party to give real focused XP to that black belt? Because that was the typical meta in the fall tournament when we were playing. Big differences there is that monster stats tended to be a little higher, and the XP factors that we would play with would also be higher. So funneling a huge amount of XP into the black belt was a very commonplace strategy, so that you could ride the level 32, or even we saw 42 black belt level 42 black belts from time to time.
Level 42 black belts where you get your 10th hit, right? Where you get 9 and 10.
Correct.
Yeah, that's... I mean, getting them to 8 hits is usually pretty damn good. Getting them to 10 hits is usually where things get out of control in a hurry. Where we're talking about, like, unbuffed black belts critting chaos for thousands of damage.
Indeed. But, I mean, we had, you know, stats, especially in the late rounds of that tournament, could get up to, like, 4x or more. And when you're dealing with that high amount of absorb or evade, you really need something that can hit like a million trucks. And that is what the ultra-leveled black belt will do, is hit like a million trucks.
Yeah, giving yourself the most opportunity to crit, land a fast on that black belt, and go to work. So still, would you run this lineup in your next round?
I would not run this lineup. I wasn't even a big fan of black belt strats, like, back then. I'm even less of a fan of them now.
I mean, I think which round did you have forced black belt in? Because
I had a forced black belt in round 1. My black belt was level 2 level 2 after the first imp fight and never gained another level. Now, level 42 is when a black belt learns Bum Rush. That's accurate. That's about how hard they hit.
With the strong Final Fantasy VI reference there, for sure.
Indeed.
So it looks like going to try and keep buffing up that warrior up to the top there. Fighter's going to get real buff. Throwing fire 3 charges at carry, which she's going to resist. Going to do minimal damage. And the black belt does not have enough levels to pierce the absorb either.
Ice 2 would actually do more damage than Lit 3 or Fire 3 here.
Yep.
But even then, Carrie's not actually weak to ice. She's just not strong against it. That knight is hitting for, or the fighter's hitting for reasonable damage with, I think it's just a flame sword. But that's still good enough.
That's dead black mage.
Yep.
That's level 19 on jkoper's screen there.
And Carrie gets taken down with a Fire 3.
So, I'm gonna light up orb number 2. That's a fire orb lit for Black Knight.
Yep. Can we get the Fire Orb lit for jkoper as well? I believe we saw that.
Yeah, that is.
You said you saw that.
Yep.
It wasn't just the Earth Orb. I don't remember when that happened. I'm a little confused because I didn't think he walked back into Volcano a 3rd time.
Yeah, that was when we were. Did he wipe to carry? Oh boy. That was when we were talking.
He did wipe to carry.
Oh, that's right. He got Blaze Blizzard. That's right. Yeah, we were talking about how he went back down and missed the power bonk. God, it's late.
Yeah. I mean, I was trusting you because you said you saw it in the pause menu, but I don't think it's lit. I think it's just the Earth Orb lit. Okay, so never mind. Yeah,
Sorry about that, everybody.
It is a little late.
Sorry about that, everybody. I do make mistakes. It's a thing that I do. I'm good at it. Yeah, we've been at it for an hour and a half at this point in time. This run is taking a while. There have been a lot of dangerous packs, stun touch in inordinately bad places. We've seen Glare, we've seen Squint, we've seen Brack, we've seen Stone Poison.
Stone Poison from Unrunnable Wizards, was it?
Yeah.
No, they're runnable, but when you're in a pack of 7 wizards, it doesn't matter if you've chosen to run or not. They're going to get some spells off.
Yeah, they're going to get some initiative, and they're going to take out most of your party pretty fast. Black Knight has saved and settled that power bonk in, and has 2 orbs lit, and is now...
I would say Black Knight's now in the lead slightly, but this level difference can really matter here. So it's kind of hard to judge at this point, because jkoper's really dedicating some time into getting this black belt level 21.
Yeah, I mean, jkoper is definitely ahead, I think, in terms of fetch quests. Has the crown and completed the quest already. Right, has the Oxyal, already ran down, got the chime, has all of the items, just is now at the point of needing to dip 3 orb dungeons and is on the way. So, Black Knight still has 2 orb dungeons, but also needs to go and get the crown at this point in time, which was from Waterfall, and then Needs the cube for more deals still, and the tail from ice.
We saw Life 2, I think, at level 6.
Life 2 is in a non-achievable state for the Red Wizards, we believe, in slot 3, if my memory serves.
I thought slot 3 is Red Wizard, but not Red Mage. I thought that's the exit slot.
Is that the exit
or is
slot?
That slot 2?
I get those mixed up, so I'm sure that somebody will eventually go back to Chris.
Either. Life 2 is level 6.
Life 2 is definitely
I'm not sure. We're not sure if it's in a Red Mageable slot or a Red Wizard slot. Or nobody. Or no, it's definitely not Red Mage. It might be Red Wizard, I don't remember. We haven't seen Life 1 at all.
Yeah, so this extra grind is definitely not going to hurt, considering that life spells are at best going to be hard to get, and at worst are going to be non-existent, so...
At the very least, nobody was high on enough level to cast life spells the last time we saw them. Okay, so we have Black Knight back in on-rack, but he still hasn't gone up to the waterfall yet. Looks like he wants to do Kraken first, which is a little odd, given that, you know, you have an X-Cal waiting in the wings.
Yeah, all you have to do is go into ice and get that tail.
And he's using a flame sword right now.
Did he save? Well, I don't know.
Oh, and here's Death Touch unrunnable lobsters, by the way. That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's the most fun enemy in Sea Shrine. Turn around and leave, Black Knight. Don't be a hero.
He's getting into the fight and he's already like, I don't want to be here.
Alright, tie that guy back.
BK did save on the overworld, so at the very least, if he wipes here, he won't lose minutes. There's that Death Touch again.
Yeah, putting the fighter down for good at this point. So I've had enough of this.
Emulator, he resets it. I don't like that reset. I would have tried to walk out with the XP.
Yeah, every little bit counts at that point.
You're still level 13. XP matters in this game. You can't just run around at level 13 all game. And it's been a real problem for both runners here. And it's one that jkoper finally decided, you know, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to spend 10 minutes and I'm going to solve the XP problem.
Yeah, I'm going to make eyes extinct from this world, but I'm going to be in the mid-20s by the time this is over.
Yep. He actually hits that level 21 breakpoint for the black belt. So he's hitting 6 hits now, which is where they start really mattering.
Yeah.
At this point, they're about as much damage as a knight with a medium good sword.
Yeah, he's definitely in ice sword range at this point for sure. But with the higher crit rate being that, you know, being the black belt with all those extra hits, that definitely makes up the difference for sure.
And we see Black Knight running away from even wizard packs.
Yeah, it's going into waterfall right now.
Sorry, Wizmummy packs, and you need XP.
Yeah, that's what spell charges are for. Spell charges are experience points. You know.
Yeah, we do have Team Black Belt tonight. It's a little unfortunate for jkoper that he's kind of priced into class changing before getting all of his XP. Hello, out of bounds, bat. Okay,
yeah.
So this one has 2 Wizmummies. He'll take this fight. Maybe it was because it was only 1 Wizmummy in the last fight that he chose to run away.
Maybe. He desperately needs the experience, though, at this point. Like, I'm not passing up much at that point. I mean, the only thing is that maybe he's trying to save material because he still can't use warp at this point.
That's true.
But yeah, we'll see how he deals with this at this point. But he's going to get his crown now. There's the nice hat.
Not really anything else powerful here. Okay, he has the warp spell, but he doesn't have any casts of it because of those levels.
Killin97 says, Cobra put a ribbon on the black belt. The M-Death loss isn't as bad as it could be, but the thing is that he is hard leveling this black belt, and he's going to lose Absorb that way.
Yeah. It won't be much if he stops at 32. If you're doing gold bracelet pro ring ribbon on the black belt, the only real loss is that you're committing a ribbon to the black belt instead of being able to put it on someone else. Incidentally, jkoper knows where a second ribbon is, but he wiped out of it in Sea Shrine.
Yeah, and again, it's in a chest that is right along the way. Doesn't need to open any doors or anything to get to it. We'll just walk out and grab it on the way.
What levels does Ninja Katana get hit bumps at? That's actually one I don't know. I do know that Thief only gets 2 hit per level, not 3 like the Black Belt or the Fighter. So they don't get hit bumps very often. It's every 16 levels is a hit bump. Yes, the Absorb bug is fixed. So the Black Belt gaining levels will not change their Absorb. Okay, 29 is the 4th hit for Katana. That's pretty high level. Although, you know, jkoper knows where Katana is, and he's getting quite a few levels on this ninja. So we might see that level 29.
Yeah, that's just, it's been a lot of eyes at this point in time. This is in the realm of what we do with Free Enterprise in terms of dragon grinding, just eye after eye after eye.
Yeah, this is also kind of a flashback to the fall tournament where it was a little more required to sink in more time to grinding because of the higher variability in enemy stats that those flags had. When you're playing with enemies that can go up to like 3x or more stats, you need to be stronger.
Yeah, the way to get strong is to get grind, so...
Koper spent a lot of time on this. On the other hand, he knows for a fact that lobsters have death touch and are unrunnable, so they're a problem. He knows Kraken's a bit of a problem. Kraken crit for 450. And wiped him out of Sea Shrine. So, I think he's assuming at this point that a little bit of grinding in this seed is going to be required. This might not be the most efficient way to do it. As opposed to, a popular way would be to be killing stuff as you go in a place like Mirage or some such.
Yes.
Is really, really popular right now with the, Lit 3 for guards and Fire 3 for Fire 3 or Harm 4 for vampires.
Yeah, sweeper strategies have been, really big right now in terms of
getting also
all
Carrie
the
had
on the
Blizzard
way.
first ability slot, Blaze second one, and that's like, nuke tiers of raw damage.
Yeah, I mean,
although it is resistible, but
yeah, I mean, it's pretty far up there. It's in the upper 100s for damage base, which is pretty brutal. It's comparable to the fact that you are going to be at a low level and have low hit point total. So from a percentage standpoint, it's, yeah, definitely in that realm of that deadly. The only advantage that he'll have is that if jkoper goes back down into Sea Shrine and gets that second ribbon, he'll be able to keep his black belt and probably one of his red mages alive through all of that without much issue.
Man, that is one heck of a hero walk. All the way from Lafine to the airship without a single encounter.
Yeah, maybe we'll see that if Black Knight's going into Mirage but does not yet have the cube as notes, so...
Really? Wow.
Did not go into Ordeals yet, no cube. And so...
Okay, yeah, you need to, at some point he's going to need to do those side quests. He hasn't done Ice Cave either, so he should know that, gonna have to do those. I think he might just want some better equipment. I
mean, he's got all the better equipment in his inventory right now. He's got the dragon armor, he's got the Excalibur.
He needs to find a tail, which we know is in the incentivized ice chest.
Yeah, this is probably not where I'd want to be right now, to be honest.
Cube can't be in here in this particular seed because we didn't have a bridge or something like that butting into the incentive item locations. Like if you see the bridge at the king, then it can shove out one of the normal incentivized items into a vanilla chest location. That isn't the case here. The quest items are all at side quests, and they're not in normal chests.
Yeah, and we are now at the hour 40 mark and still plugging away. This has been a very different race than a lot of what we've seen so far in this tournament. Again, lack of really early high-powered sweepers, is mitigated by Provoca and the fact that they've got a good mix of elements, but no big ones, no nuke, no fade. Oddball party compositions compared to kind of what we've seen. Both players running a black belt with varying success at this point. It's been real interesting so far.
It does look like Black Knight's finally managed to get a decent number of levels of his own. He's 17 on the bulk of his party at this point.
It's not bad at all at this point. All right, Zardia. Right now, jkoper's been grinding eyes for a little while here, trying to get up a ton of levels to try and plow through the rest of the game.
Do we want to recap where everything was?
I've got that available. We can do a full recap. I'm on board with that.
Okay, so we started off with the slab and the what was the king again? Slab and
canoe was our start off.
Yep. Then we had a floater was at Bicky. They had the circle all the way around. Sages was the loot. Pick up the floater. Then we have the crown in waterfall. We have the tail in ice. We have the ordeals had the cube, and Sarda had the rod. We had a taunting ruby in Dwarf Cave right at the beginning, but it turned out to not be required, unfortunately. Gear-wise, we had the Excalibur, the Adamant in
Cardia Isles was the Adamant,
Cardia Isles,
which jkoper found first and turned into 8,000 gold when he sold an Excalibur. Black Knight's been sitting on that scalp for a while.
These are some problems that looks like Black Knight was reset after all that XP.
I think he had warp charges too. I think he has one warp charge and could have used that to go down to this stairwell, which is much safer, and then run.
Is he out of healing potions? I don't think he's out of healing potions either. You could just heal and walk out or warp out. No, he doesn't have any warps yet. Yeah, holding both the dragon and opal armors is kind of not the most inventory efficient way to do things. But when you have a black belt, they kind of end up being... They're also a good mule because they don't need to be equipping equipment. So they can just carry some stuff. Level 27. This is a good 20 minutes grind by jkoper. It will probably pay off, but I feel like there's a lot of runners that this would not have paid off against.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of runs in that sweet spot between, if with floater first, if there's nothing super, super dangerous. We've been seeing a lot of runs in that 125 to 140 window so far.
And I mean, seeing the nasty abilities that we've seen this run, I think it would probably be on the higher side of that. But
yeah,
Black Knight does not have the cube. It is in Ordeals. He has not been to Ordeals. He has also not been to gotten the eye chest out of Ice Cave. He wiped an Ice Cave.
Yeah. But yeah, this has been a very, very interesting run.
And yeah, there's a lot of XP left on the cutting room floor by Black Knight here.
Yeah, which is very difficult. This is a great place to grind, admittedly, but you've got to take that experience home with you. You don't take it with you when you die. For the 45 other racers in this tournament, by the way, jkoper has killed all of the eyes. You may notice that they might be gone in your seeds. I'm kidding about that, but I think we're well into many dead eyes. I've lost count at this point.
I believe it's over 100 at this point. He's getting 800 a pop, and we're in the several thousand XP per level up at this point.
My goodness. The eye population.
Is he really going to grind the whole party up to level 32? Normally when you grind a black belt up to 32, you do it with the rest of the party dead.
Yeah, it takes a quarter of the time.
On the other hand, his party is well equipped to run away from literally everything that is runnable with that ninja. So,
if jkoper loses, he may regret his choice. I mean, yeah, that's kind of how it goes. You know, the amount of investment that people are putting into grinding has been pretty low. Looking at time, you may be thinking that there's a gatekeeper out there. Zardia makes a very good point. He might be thinking that that Blizzard Blaze carry is a mess and just wants to go down there and one-shot it with the black belt.
When you have ribbons, that Blizzard and Blaze isn't so much of a problem anymore. Looks like Black Knight is on Team Steak. Let's go Team Steak.
Unquestioningly Team Steak, by the way. Didn't even think about it. No consideration, only grilled meat. Team Steak.
Although something I learned yesterday is that Bane isn't going to work on Tyros.
You cannot eat the steak if you poison it. Do not poison the steak. I mean, I guess you can, but it seems like a bad idea.
Black Knight is going somewhere. Oh, looks like he's finally going to get his Mystic Key.
Yep.
Interestingly, Astus actually resists both fire and lightning. Only ice will do full damage, but that doesn't really matter when you're level 17. I don't remember there was there was anything particularly special in these locked chests, however. So he might be a little disappointed if he's trying to find something. On the other hand, he has so much equipment sitting in his inventory. It's just a matter of getting that tail so he can actually equip it.
Yeah, Dwarf Cave was a blank. Dwarf Cave was a complete blank. I do remember that. It's been, what, about an hour since Koper drove those droves, at least. I didn't write it down because there wasn't anything super exciting, I don't think.
Of all the things to drop, he chose to drop an opal helmet. That's the only helmet that he actually has for his fighter. He could have dropped an ice shield or a opal gauntlet.
Yeah.
Or opal armor because he has dragon armor.
Alright, jkoper's killed all of the eyes in the Final Fantasy universe.
Alright.
He is level 1 billion.
Is he gonna... I think now's where we double check to see if the warp spell is actually learnable by red mages. Now that he has enough levels to can. No, he doesn't go get it. I don't remember if those spots are what Red Wizard learnable.
I think it's the first. I think it's slot 1.
If it's slot 1, then it is learnable. But he doesn't pick it up.
No, it wasn't in slot 1 though.
At this point, I don't think it matters to him too much. He's not going to be backtracking anywhere. He's done all the side quest dungeons that you really benefit from warp.
Yeah, he's gonna pass by the power bonk one more time probably. After finding it the first time, wiping out up at the top of the volcano, trying to escape, wipes out on carry to Blizzard Blaze. Doesn't go get the second ribbon first, which I guess makes sense. I think he vaguely remembers that there's something here, but he doesn't remember what or where, and now he found it.
There it is. Okay, he did get the power bonk this time. So...
Throw out the dragon armor. Make me sad.
Looks like he kind of hesitated about throwing it out there.
I desperately wanted that in my round 1 matchup because I had no armor.
The first slot of black magic.
And slots 2 through 4 of white.
Slots 2 to 4 of white. Okay. So, thank you for that, Wilcleosis, because I couldn't remember those.
Yeah.
I can remember them for the first four levels, but I don't really remember it very well past that.
Right. Corneria had the Zeus Gauntlet. But yeah, I have not memorized that. I'm still trying to remember the world map, Wilcleosis. I'm still trying to not get lost.
Fully healing before this Blaze carry. Note that we don't really have any good healing magic because Cure 4 is in a white magic only slot, and I don't think there's any other good healing spells in the first few levels. They're mostly crammed up at level 6 and 7.
Yeah, that's really difficult to work with here. That is mage charges fast, though.
Neither mage. Yeah, Fade. Yeah, it's good because it'll be many charges of Fade, and then some charges of fast to left over. He might also go and pick up some Lit 3 and Fire 3 for that ninja.
Yeah, there's the first blast of Blizzard, so... And just cranking out Fade charges now. This should be over in a moment. Defense Sword was in Temple of Fiends. That's
a very good find. Still need a class change to equip it, though.
I mean, can still use it to get the Ruse effect, which is not the worst thing, but still needs
an incredibly powerful thing. But yeah, still needs that class change, and this should be a lesson to any other runners of this who might be new. Under these flags, the side quests are almost always going to be required, and then one of them, obviously he has all the ones that are required, and he doesn't have the one that's the tail, so he might figure out that the tail's in ice at this point.
Yeah.
With that warp charge, he could go get that tail out of there without too much difficulty at this point. Just picking up the light. Okay, we finally have something resembling a real healing spell. Life 2. He cannot pick up Heal 3, although he can pick up Heal 2.
Yeah, I mean, those last few charges of life spells that you don't need casting them on Chaos could be the difference between survival and not.
Not only that, with the levels that he ground out on those red mages, he has actually a reasonable number of charges there.
Yeah, it'll be good. But he's got to still do Sea Shrine and get his revenge on Kraken, and then go and finish up Sky, punch out Tiamat. But boy, is there going to be a lot of punching. Also, God, that's a lot of gold.
Man, that is a lot of gold.
I'm sorry to get comments that it's all about execution for jkoper now. Yes, it's can he execute everybody with his black belt's fists.
Yeah, at this point, jkoper's in a clear lead. Black Knight's been hamstrung by the lack of tail. With a bunch of amazing knight equipment in his inventory and no tail. He's got an Excalibur, he's got a dragon armor,
He's got
some opal equipment,
an Aegis shield, he's got
an Aegis shield. Yeah, it's just need that tail, but hasn't found it, and it's an ice cave which he wiped in earlier. Here we have those Death Touch lobsters again. Are they gonna take someone out? Note that levels are the only thing that really protect you against this. He's not even going all out with the Lit 3s.
That seems unwise. Red
Loses
Mage.
the red mage. He stands there. He resets. That's more XP that's left on the table when you could cast Warp instead. Ouch.
Yeah, just probably has left about 6 levels on the table at this point easily. Doesn't really want any part of the Death Touch Lobsters. You're gonna have to get through them eventually. I think that's the one thing I've learned about the Final Fantasy Randomizer at this point in time is there are times at which sometimes you just have to decide to go fearlessly, right? Just know what you need to burn your resources on. Right, you gotta spend that cash somewhere. Know where you need to spend it, and then spend it. Right, jkoper is now climbing the Sky Palace here. He is definitely looks like he's in hard go mode at this point in time. He is just ready to be done.
Yep, using that thief to run away reliably.
Yeah. Black Knight finally decides it's time to go over ordeals instead. I forgot what interesting enemies he would find in here, but I know there are nightmares. There's nightmares on the spike tile at the top.
Warmech is unfortunately not required.
But we might see if Warmech is at least momentarily required for jkoper. Yep, we are all right. So everyone hope for Warmech. You know, summon Warmech with the power of your will. Conjure a giant death robot from the sky.
Will, I think we have one of them in chat.
Ah.
At this point, with all those levels on the red wizards, jkoper's fearlessly throwing fades at random packs.
I mean, got plenty of charges. And at this point, you know, water does you no good in your canteen, so you might as well use it.
It's kind of just a matter of, do the red wizards get their turns with fade off before the ninja gets his turn with a 90% run chance?
And we get the Final Fantasy Randomizer special, one low roll on the fade, and everybody else runs away. That Naga has, Grey Nagas have Blizzard, that's unpleasant. Yep, so many fades in Life 2s, you get that many fades in Life 2s when you level your party to level 28. The sheer amount of grinding jkoper did with this was just incredibly long and effective. Well, no Warmech today, just Tiamat.
Interesting to note that his party will be basically guaranteed to all survive a nuke. Nuke's max damage is 400. Look at those HP values.
Yep.
And 400 is the, you know, when it hits and it does full damage. It's between 200 and 400.
All right, fasted, tempered, black belt, ready to go to work.
Kapow, 803 crit.
Yeah, that's
He might not hit level 32 at this rate, though.
Does he need to at this point in time, considering enemy stats and everything? I think he's in
I don't think he really does, but
that's a lot of damage.
You know, both runners had a pretty rough run so far. This seed, there have been some wipes to go around. Both runners have wiped to different things in various different places. jkoper wiped 2 different times in Volcano, wiped to Kraken, Meanwhile, Black Knight wiped in Ice Cave and Earth Cave.
Did he also wipe in Volcano as
I
well?
think he also wiped in Volcano as well.
And he's reset out of Sea Shrine a bunch of times because there are
And reset out.
death touch.
Yeah, there's unrunnable Death Touch lobsters in Sea Shrine, which are terrifying.
That's like the opposite of the dream. That's the nightmare right there.
So we see jkoper finally going back in the Sea Shrine. This isn't the unrunnable pack with the lobsters in it, so he's just going to run.
Black Knight, I need you to not run from those, Soria. They are full of experience.
More importantly, for jkoper, this time he actually has life magic.
Yeah.
Required class change also required gaining levels on those red wizards so they can cast level 6 magic, which takes them quite a few levels to get access to. Here's that ribbon that we saw earlier, but then was lost due to a wipe.
Kraken took it away. Said you can't have nice things.
Throws it on a red wizard so that they can pick people up. There's also the katana. So he has a good weapon for his ninja finally. That's 4 spells in the... Oh, here's that scary fight.
Oof. Ninja dead instantly.
Looks like that fire 3 might have been an input error.
Yeah.
Instead of lit 3.
Doesn't cost him anything, thankfully, other than the spell charge.
Fire 3 spell charges aren't particularly useful in Sea Shrine.
Yeah.
Here's another unrunnable fight with a lobster.
That is just so much. Gets the lightning 3 off before the lobster can act and possibly pincer somebody to death immediately. Gets through that encounter without issue.
Yeah, we're going to see a return of that particular formation in Temple of Fiend's Return, though.
Yeah, and that means more lobsters.
Speaking of more lobsters.
I'm not a fan.
The troll lobster Bafar is the same formation as this, and therefore will also be unrunnable.
Terrelin comments, Fire for Sea Shrine, Ghost say hi.
He has harm 4 at level 1, though, so that will take precedence in terms of what to use against ghosts. So, you are right, I forgot about that, but... Yes, there are 2 different packs. The just lobsters, you can tell is different because they're all the way to the back, whereas any pack with mixed big and small enemies, the small enemies are always in the front. And here we have those Death Touch lobsters reaching out and touching.
Pack of 6, no less, and only 1 goes down to that gauntlet use.
But here's that res magic mattering.
Yeah, the red mage life train begins now.
And suddenly I'm not questioning, oh my gosh.
Just throw everything you've got at these lobsters. They're dangerous and healthy.
We almost had the black belt die to conventional damage from the lobsters there.
That's it. Right. Fiona mentions what's better than 6 lobsters is asking. Zangrief's answer is 7. My answer is 0. We don't need any of those things. This stream... Thanks, Tie-Dye Guy. This stream sponsored by Red Lobster. Red Lobster, proud partner of Team Steak. Alright, jkoper looking for the ways to get his team buff as fast as possible to, do that thing that you do to Kraken. Doesn't get much fast. Second temper. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying, the bus didn't go off yet, and he's already doing 200 damage.
Well, we'll see what he does with... Oh, man. Oof.
Back.
That's
That's a strong crack in there.
Yeah, that was a 9-hitter for, 400 plus damage there. Max Plus Supply mentions that he needed those levels. Yes, jkoper needed every one of those levels to survive that swing.
Just about.
Ouch.
And all 4 orbs lit. Now we're finally heading over. He's going to restock on his potions and then head into TOFR, it looks. Black Knight leaving behind some green Medusas in the Sky Tower, not realizing that those are some of the easiest to kill and highest XP enemies up here.
Yeah, the only reason that they're really dangerous in vanilla is they have Stone Touch, but in the randomizer, most of the time they don't end up with that. They just end up with a very small amount of hit points and a very large vulnerability to being dead.
He's also checking a lot of chests up here. I'm not really sure what he's expecting to find, given that, he already has many pieces of good equipment. He just needs a tail. Oh, I stuck my foot in my mouth because that is a moss immune.
Well, that's kind of what you wanted, right? Who needs a tail when you've got a Masamune?
Please kill these green Medusas, though.
They have Poison Touch, though. They're scary. Alright. So, jkoper saves, gets set up. And we've got our dip into Fiends Revisited at 207 tonight. Black Knight finds another ribbon here at the right side of this floor of Sky.
I didn't see what was in that second validation chest.
I did not either.
I'm going to assume it wasn't anything good because he didn't go to equip it.
Yep. Falcon does save. Hopefully with this Black Knight just go.
At this point, I could see there's a third ribbon, and at this point, you're basically at the best equipment you can ask for without class changing. So, if you're not going to go back to ice to get what has to be the tail, then you should just go.
Right. Zardia throwing up the polls for the spring tournament polls. I highly recommend voting for Agama, the best lizard of them all. Zardia very sad that there's no Vorpal this run. Zardia, captain of Team Vorpal apparently.
No Vorpal to throw to the ground. Another interesting thing, because Black Knight does have a couple charges of warp. If you're going to go check this far chest room to the right, you can then warp back to the teleporter platform. Single Chimera is another one of those fights where, I would definitely be meleeing with that Masamune, which will pretty much guaranteed one-shot the Chimera instead of running.
They're full of experience points that you need to survive.
Same with Sentry. Sentry's 2 Agamas. It's a lot of XP. Looks like he's only taking the big packs, but not taking any of the single enemies that have really good XP values. And he's out of Fade charges on the Red Mage, although he still will have Fast on his Black Mage.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to worry about sharing those too much the way jkoper does.
Indeed. All right.
2.
Looking a little green today.
those ribbons protect from the stop spell, which is time elemental, and very few things will resist it other than other than the ribbon itself, and I believe actually the black shirt will resist time element. Getting some frame drops, unfortunately. jkoper, as you can read in his party names, is apologizing for them. He's also using Life 2 as a healing spell to save on his potions.
It's as good a healing spell as you're going to get, so might as well. It's got 10 charges of it, too, to start the temple.
12 hits on his black belt.
Yeah, fasted black belt, getting buff, swinging for the fences.
And there goes Carrie.
Yeah, the fire gets put out by jkoper's black belt's fists. And now it's time for the Great Equalizer. It's time for Kraken 2.
Although honestly, if it's an equalizer, it's going to be pretty favored for jkoper, given the level difference here.
Yeah. I mean, the only way that this becomes actually, like, a problem is if Kraken ends up one-shotting both red mages and then one-shotting the black belt on top of it. Right, but that's going to take 3 turns, and so...
We have those rude Grey Nagas on Black Knight's side with the Blizzard.
Yeah, that's going to sting a little bit. It's already breaking out with the Bless RNG as we're looking for War Mech. I don't know if Black Knight needs War Mech on top of how this seed has gone for him tonight, I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
Got the white shirt for defense, but not a lot of other defensive options from the white magic spells that jkoper has access to.
Not a ton of utility out there in usable slots. I think Wall was locked up as well. But yeah, it looks like the hero run was lined up for jkoper perfectly to get through the water floor without running into more lobsters, so...
Yeah, it's very lucky. It's also why it's important that you hug the bottom of the rooms, especially on floor. Like it looked like Kraken had Swirl at the end there, took out the ninja, and brought the red mages low, but they're still up.
That's what matters at this point.
Noting that the ninja's the only one there without a ribbon, so not resisting any of those other spells like the Fire 3 that we saw.
Yep. But yeah, gonna go and we're gonna see the off time. We're gonna see the lost in time high five in a second here. He pulls Tiamat. Alright, he's put the power bonk on the black belt. He's done with this. He's ready to go. His black belt.
The white shirt on his ninja, I think.
Yeah.
No, white shirt on a. Not really sure. Anyway, we have the what you said, the lost in time high-fiving.
2,000 years apart, this high five is happening.
I can't tell what spell that was, but some AoE spell hit the party.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of a hard time with jkoper.
Looks like it was something big because it hit for a few hundred damage on that.
Yeah, but it was otherwise resisted. You know, could have been a nice 3.
Definitely some kind of big magic getting thrown around here. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, jkoper's, you know, there's a reason that the party's name is sorry for the drop frames, but... He does not have any real in-combat healing options either, but...
Not at all. He has the heal too, and that's about it.
But you don't need it when you punch this hard.
That's the hope.
Did he move forward without healing, or did he heal up at least some of the way?
He cast life too, but he didn't throw healing potions around. He's running a little short on them.
That's not ideal.
Here's the 4 worm encounter. That's actually the second highest EXP encounter in the game. The highest being the War Mech itself.
Good old War Mech. So it's going to top up now. We're going to get our War Mech pull, or we're going to get our War Mech pull. I mean, as much as we would love seeing War Mech, we're going to get our Chaos pull at 216. It looks like thereabouts.
Yep, that's been about a 10-minute run through the. It's 8 minutes through since entering TFR at 207.
This is the highest level party I think we've seen getting to the end of a run here at level 30. The lowest level run I think was Edge Figaro's run, where I think he took his party in at level 17 but wasn't able to seal the deal. Moves the black belt down to the lineup so it doesn't get potentially doesn't get instantly murdered by Chaos, but Chaos has been known to occasionally go low. Is there any
setting up the fasts and the tempers?
Is there anything that stops jkoper at this point?
Yeah, if that black belt dies. If the black belt dies, he doesn't have a very good way to close out the fight at all. He doesn't have much in-combat healing to draw out a longer fight with the much weaker katana-wielding ninja.
Got it.
Also, of course, you know, Nukes, with the limited amount of healing he has, can also really throw problems into the mix. 4 worms are slightly more than a bit more than 4 gas dragons. It's not a huge difference, but it's a difference.
So that was just a swing for 1282. I don't think he's got anything to worry about. One more of those and he's in good shape.
Yep.
Fade.
300 from the Fade as well. At this point, he can close it out. There it is.
GG.
And we see IRC pop up immediately with the dot done.
Dot done. Official time. Official SRL time 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 59 seconds. A goodly chunk of that spent punching eyes in the eye. But
yeah, he spent a good 20-some minutes on the eyes there.
But GG to jkoper. Guess we'll give him a minute to soak it in, and then, you know, let's see, get him settled in.
$89 of 241 chests. 46 power-offs. We had a big hero run right at the beginning of, so a lot of power-offs. 3 perished, taken into account here. There were a couple others where he reset out after being effectively perished.
Yeah, that does not measure the impact of those wipes on the run either, because
they were all deep in dungeons.
Yeah, it was pretty unpleasant.
It looks like Black Knight's finally trying to get past these murder lobsters as well. But without that tail, he doesn't have the life charges.
Yeah, it's going to be real rough. So still waiting on word from jkoper at this point in time. I'm sure he's taken a moment to breathe after that. That was a marathon for sure.
The official SRL time, 2:16:59. Sam is on his lower left.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 3rd ribbon found by dropping a pro ring. Yikes.
All right, jkoper's gonna need a minute or two to get set up, but we'll keep on cheering on Black Knight here. You know, 1 orb to light here. You know, still making his way.
Looks like he might not realize that the tail must be in the incentivized chest in Ice Cave.
Yeah.
And his fighter goes down to these murder lobsters.
Yeah, they're doing some
healing potions either.
Yeah, he's way low on inventory. One of those big and major things. Go ahead and spend that gold.
Looks like he should have 2 warp charges. Murder Lobster sounds like a band name. It's something, alright.
That actually would be a good band name, but what kind of band would it be?
Is there such thing as pirate metal?
Yeah, there is definitely such a thing as pirate metal.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's pirate metal then. Well, deep in the sea, we find a ship.
I mean,
I guess
is that metal? Does that count? Because that sure is, you know.
I would. One thing I'll say is I would not be skimping with the Zeus Gauntlet instead of actually casting Lit 3 on these lobsters.
Yeah. Nope. Then that lobster takes down the black mage. Oh
And
my. He's not giving up though. It looks like. Falcon mentions that if you want to hear pirate metal, look up Ailstorm. Yeah, that one works. There's a couple of other bands too, but they're just not coming to mind at 1 in the morning here.
It's worth noting that lobsters also have 3 hits base, which is, it's calculated on a per hit basis. We do see Black Knight going and finally picking up this tail.
Yeah.
It looks like he does know it's here. He was just trying to avoid getting it.
Yeah, everyone's commenting that he's not giving up, but it's definitely tough sometimes. This is a tough randomizer to learn. There's a lot of nuance. It took a lot of practice for me just to feel comfortable with getting out of the early game. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, we see the nice little warp glitch, which we didn't see from jkoper because it wasn't possible for jkoper to cheese the back of the eye chest by jumping into the hole and then warping out. These holes are effectively just one-way staircases.
All right, and it sounds like we're joined by jkoper, who is going to try and push through some technical issues here to talk with us. So jkoper, how'd that seed go? How do you feel?
I was pretty surprised that I won. I don't think that 2:15 is going to be a winning time very often in this tournament.
Yeah, there were a lot of wrenches thrown in this seed, not the least of which were those lobsters.
Yeah, the lobsters for me were kind of just a hiccup because the first several times I saw them, they didn't hit me with the death touch, and then when I came through the last time, I was more than prepared for that. So
yeah, you had 2 resurrectors in your party. Black Knight didn't grab the tail out of Ice Cave, so his red mage cannot learn Life 2 yet, and that's been a bigger problem for him. He actually just wiped out of Sea Shrine again. But there were some pretty nasty wipes from both of you this seed. We saw all sorts of nasties, such as AoE stone poison without enough soft potions happened to both of you. Or Brack turning people to stone without enough soft potions. Do you think that there were any... what parts of the run did you think you did well with?
Well, things were almost working really well. Like, I don't know. I think I need to figure out more good leveling strats, but beyond that, with the huge empty encounter space at the front of a power cycle, you could do pretty much anything you wanted in this seed, until you had to get like deep into a dungeon or something, or you need to actually fight something. When I got stoned, when half my party got stoned in Volcano, I was actually kind of glad, like semi-glad there, because I had the one soft, and well, yeah, ideally it would have been nice to have more softs on reserve, and that's possibly a mistake, even though it feels like getting stoned in general is a kind of rare occurrence that you usually don't need more than a few, like maybe 1 or 2 soft potions in a run. But yeah, so I had my black belt and my red mage alive going to fight the Agamas, but then the Agamas were jerks.
Yeah, it looks like they just had a fair bit of physical power, and you didn't have really enough pepper to push through.
Well, they also
alive.
had a paralysis.
Right, they had the paralysis as well.
Yeah, that was the big thing.
Yeah.
So
that was the one thing that I definitely noticed, that every time you picked a grind spot, it was something that was just had something nasty above and beyond what you'd ever want that grind spot to see.
yeah, and then after I wiped in the volcano, then I decided to go to Ice Cave. And the biggest reason why I went there was because I was gonna grind some eyes for a little bit. But then my first or second eye fight, he cast mute on me, and like the spells and the black shirt were gonna be a large part of my strategy for fighting him for a little bit, and it just seemed like a huge pain. So yeah, from that point, I was kind of flailing around for a little while until
it really looked like both runners here were very much struggling to figure out where the XP was supposed to come from, because there were no obvious answers to that question. There's one thing that's becoming more and more meta is to try to pick up XP as you go, but without a super powerful nuke spells, that can be a little tricky too. And you had lit 3 and fire 3 and then ice 2, so it's like, as long as the enemy's weak against something, you can kind of do that, but there's a lot of places where you just want to throw a giant nuke at things, and that wasn't really an option until you really got the level ups, and then you could throw fades around like nothing.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I feel like it's not. It is really easy to get level ups in the beginning of the game, but you only get those level ups because the experience targets are so low. I don't think overall, I think you want to get out of the beginning area as quickly as you can and fight some fights that are worth some actual experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean by XP as you go, I mean like, you're running through Sky, knowing which fights that you can pick up for like 1,000 XP while you're running through Sky or through Sea Shrine.
Right, but it's getting to a point where you can survive those places, I guess.
Exactly, and that was really tricky. That was certainly tricky this seed for both runners.
Yeah.
All right. So just before we wrap up, I would like to ask you just 2 very brief questions, jkoper. What's the one thing you're going to change for your next match potentially? What do you think is going to be a change in strategy to get that time down into a range you'll be happier with?
I'm not sure that I'll necessarily change anything. Maybe I'll have more of an eye on experience, and there are definitely times where I just wasn't sure where to go and just think about routing a little more.
Yep.
So
do you want to comment on your party choices, by the way? Because it's very unconventional to see both the black belt and the thief chosen in these flags.
Right. Well, the thief is so that I can run away from things better. Obviously, like that's the only real purpose he has. The fact that he's a like decent fighter and gets a little bit of black magic at the end is just a bonus, but it's mostly just for running through away from things and getting through the early game as soon as possible. And then a black belt is just so that I don't have to spend time looking for good weapons and armor. You know, there's still seems to be a lot of need to like look for ribbons.
Yeah, I was saying
those
earlier,
ribbons were really key to getting through the later part of the game for me.
Yep.
But
if you weren't forced to class change the black belt so early in order to just have access to spells and stuff, then or like a weapon that the ninja can actually wield, the innate magic defense that a black belt gets can kind of pretend to be a wizard. But
yeah, I think my class change was a bit of a desperation move, just because I was struggling to get anywhere, and I figured if I can at least put this better armor and some sort of weapon on the thief ninja, then that might help me get somewhere. But
question from chat: were you considering going to level 32 for that black belt?
I thought about it, but the longer that I sat there and watching my timer tick up, the more I just felt like, I gotta move on. I gotta pick a time and just move on. Because, but 32 was really tempting. I think in the end, it certainly seems like I grinded too long, based on how easy it was after I finished grinding. But it was just a hard call because the enemy scale wasn't that high in these flags, but the Carry and Kraken were both rolled fairly deep. It was just, you just never know exactly what the right spot to quit is. So
yeah, that's understandable. So, well, jkoper, thank you so much for a good race. GG, but we are, getting to the point in time where we do need to wrap things up. Thank you for your insight on that. It's very interesting to see what people have been doing to attack this this flag set. You definitely have a bit of a different take on it, which is interesting. The thief is definitely a good call in a lot of ways, and so definitely maybe something to look out for going forward. But just to wrap this up at this point in time, of course, make sure that you follow both these great runners, jkoper and Black Knight. jkoper being big in the scene and Black Knight still learning, but definitely making improvements and fighting on.
Black Belt said in IRC, by the way, that they're going to throw in the towel.
All right.
They're calling it a night.
All right, so they are going to wrap it up. Of course, thank you to Zangief on tracking, the tie-dye guy, excuse me, on restreaming, all the folks at Randomania who make this possible. Upcoming tomorrow, or for those of us here on the East Coast today, it's been a long night. We have 2 Final Fantasy Randomizer matches coming up at 3:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. And the Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer Weekly will be at 9 p.m. So, go and check that out. That's a very different randomizer than this. Right? And still, any last words before we call it a night?
So Zardia mentions that there's more round 2 Swiss on deck. Care to specify more on that, Zardia? Looking for a restream of a race that happened earlier today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, no, that was one that I missed. It will probably be a good watch. Alright. So, any other last words at this point, then?
I don't have anything else to say.
All right. Well, then, everybody, thank you for watching. Keep on coming out. You know, we love your support. You know, be sure again to support these runners, and again, have an excellent night. Thanks very much.